Alpher.
I'm Omegar.
And we're Alpher and Omegar.
And this is Alpher Omegar's Refit Review, the original series episode 4! The Naked Time.
Ayo!
So,
That's it, it's the Naked Time.
Naked
Classic.
Time.
Well, a classic among classics,
Classic
really.
among classics.
So, yeah, what did you think?
I
It's definitely the most out there, comical.
It was very entertaining. Like, Sulu was highly entertaining.
Over the top, right?
Ha!
Yeah.
I wonder, is this sharp?
Right.
Oh, and got the music. Boom, 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 boom. Like, it's so great. It's so great.
Yep,
I
yep.
love it.
So they go down to Psi 2000. And so a note about biohazard suits. You're not wearing them so that you can take them off, take off your glove, and then scratch your nose, and then fiddle about a bit, and then put it back on and be like, oh, yeah, everything's good, let's move on.
Alright, now guys, it lets me just tell my nose is super itchy. I don't know why. But then let me just take off my glove. And then leave off my glove and then start touching stuff. And then, oh, hey, something's weird. Alright.
Not very smart.
And then it's like...
So he gets infected, comes back to the Enterprise.
Mr. Spock is like, make sure we don't come in contact with anything. He's just like...
Oh, yep, nope, that didn't happen.
We're good.
Yep. Moving
It's
along.
like they just didn't care.
Right. So he starts to break
He
down.
starts to get very
Go
strange.
crazy back
then.
on the ship, and
Yeah.
Sulu and Riley have to,
You have to take him... They have to
try and
take him
intervene.
down.
But as it turns out,
He
Death Bar Butter Knife.
He threatens them with it,
Yeah.
and they struggle with him, and then he goes down to the ground, and then...
Well, he had already turned it on himself before they struck.
Well, right, they turns it on himself, and they try to intervene, and struggle.
It was not meant to be.
They hit on the ground, he gets stabbed
Yeah.
by a butter knife.
Yeah, well, it was pointy. It was a pointy butter knife.
But, it was like, I mean, as Burns so astutely states, it's like he just didn't want to live.
Yeah.
It's like he just didn't want to live.
The whole they didn't spend any time in this episode on the actual nature of the virus, of anything like that. And really, Bones solves it off camera, and the one thing we see him doing is like calling the lab to get results, and then having to go down, and then he comes back and it's solved really. But so the tension of the episode comes in that Psi 2000 is like, I guess it's imploding on itself for some reason, and for some reason
breaking down.
their science. A note about the science on this episode: the science guy kind of let them down in that even if you compacted a planet, like, you can't change its mass. It wouldn't change its mass. It would just be compacting what's there. So. That's a pretty well constant. So that was a little wonky, but the magnetic eddies would have been a better thing to bring up. But be that as it may. So the planet was about to implode or collapse and then explode or something, and then technobabble, and then and so they were having to study it because this might be what eventually happens to Earth in the far distant future after the sun goes dormant and all that stuff. And so they were studying it and all, but bad time for your helm officer and your navigation officer and everybody else to start going cuckoo. So Cocoa Puffs were on order at the mess that day.
Yeah.
But so everything starts to break down. Sulu gets out there and fences, and it's explained that this illness brings on sort of like a primal, or not really primal, but like it first attaches to like your actual desires and whatnot. So we get this. I would call it egregious. I think it's an egregious scene with Nurse Chapel.
Wait, so it's the first appearance of Nurse Chapel.
Yeah, so Major Barrett's introduction to really the audience, as far as since we don't really get the Cage as an audience, but introduction to the audience as Nurse Chapel.
So it brings out her underlying feelings of just strong feelings for Mr. Spock. Oh, I just love you, Mr.
So
Spock. You never hurt me.
The pining that she had as number one for Captain Pike has now been replaced as pining for number one as who is Mr. Spock. It's an interesting thing, but then
from an under the surface kind of a thing to something she's thought about to just
and they put her in this silver wig, and
weird.
they take her from this position of power to this position of where she's still quite competent. Like, when I was a kid, I never thought less of Nurse Chapel. I thought she was great at her job. But to think about of who she would have been had the series gone forward with the first pilot, and then to her becoming a nurse, it's like becoming, a secretary, to some extent. Now, I won't tell you what happens with Nurse Chapel. I'll let you find that out.
Yeah.
But of course, Major Barrett stays on with Star Trek, going forward, and so she gets some more strong roles. But even Nurse Chapel, I think, is a strong role. It's just compared to what it could have been as number one. It's obviously a little bit lesser. But be that as it may. But so she declares her love for Spock, and Spock's like,
I'm so
that's
sorry.
Unfortunate.
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
And then he goes out and...
I'm sorry.
And then...
never told me Mommy I loved her.
Yeah, that's true. He does. He's like, I never told me Mommy I loved her. She's an Earth woman and I never...
do it. We were on Vulcan. Yeah. It wasn't kosher. Yeah. Something like that. I don't remember.
Oh.
It was poor taste, I think he said.
Kosher would actually be kind of funny. Because, the Vulcan salute is actually an ancient Jewish thing that Leonard Nimoy brought in as a result of his Jewish mysticism.
I was unaware.
Or unknowing Jewish mysticism as a result of his Judaic roots. Yeah, interesting.
Interesting.
So Kosher actually kind of works in that scenario.
Interesting.
Now so a lot of people focus on Sulu. I think the most interesting person who got ill, who for you? Was it Sulu?
Sulu was definitely, because he was just the most entertaining.
Yeah, he was definitely,
I found anyway.
I found him pretty well entertaining. But I found Kirk to be the most interesting and entertaining, because he is still able to compose himself and go back to the bridge.
That's true.
And but the reason is because what he discovers in that moment of letting his inhibitions down, or what, because it's like mild drug or intoxicant, and in vino veritas, as they say. So what's revealed, whereas Nurse Chapel wants Spock, Kirk,
he wants that ship over anything else.
Yeah, well, like he opines that I wish I had a woman, to be with, and
he says that's why I know why it's called a she.
Yeah, I know why it's called, because she's me woman, and
I'm never gonna let her down.
Yeah, and I'm never gonna let her go.
Okay.
Ever.
That's a powerful statement.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like, and he's almost saying. Because he says to Spock, it's like, have you noticed? I've got a beautiful yeoman. Have you noticed? It's okay for you to notice.
Yeah,
I'm the captain. I can't notice because because basically saying that the ship is his woman.
And that does have repercussions.
Has to notice
Kirk
his
never
ship
goes
is only
after
his
an
ship.
underling, and he has, and that has repercussions throughout the rest of not only the Kirk character arc, but it has interesting, notes on Picard and even Janeway. When. Let's talk about that in 10 years when we get there. So, did you have any other notes?
Any other? So it was just because, so either, the uniforms are totally garbage, or Bones is one ripped. Captain walks on the ship and he's just okay. First off, why can't you just harpo him in the neck?
Yeah. Or have him roll up his sleeve.
Or just pull up his sleeve.
Well, because then you wouldn't get the beefcake.
You gotta get that beefy shoulder in there.
If Sulu wasn't enough for you, I mean,
Sulu.
He ripped.
Wow. Oh my.
Yeah.
He was doing all right for himself. I'm sure. I mean, he's still doing all right for himself, but he was definitely doing all right for himself.
Now, when you say doing all right for him, fit
Fit, yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's also doing all right for himself.
I'm sure he's also doing alright for himself.
But anyway, so in every sense of the word. So
Yeah.
so now any other? Now I thought. What did you think of Riley? Do you think he's going to be a major character going forward? Because they introduced him as the navigation officer here.
Okay, he got a bit, over the top,
He was
oh, Billy
singing-
Riley, oh, Billy Riley. Except he couldn't really sing very well.
No,
I mean, not
very
that,
well.
not that I can sing
No.
very well. I mean, I'm not saying. But yeah, I mean, they do love their serenades in
They do.
Star Trek.
Well, that doesn't last very long. I don't, as I recall. I mean, it's a lot heavier in the first few episodes. That's for sure.
It was somewhat amusing, but at the same time, it's like, oh god, like tone deaf people singing is only so entertaining.
Well, I mean, they at least acknowledge, like, when Kirk's like, "Can you get him off of there, Sulu?"
Please, God, God,
I mean,
not
Uhura.
again, not again,
And she's
no.
like, "Don't you think I would get him off if I could? Oh, I'm sorry."
I'll keep trying, Captain.
Yeah. So, whew.
Get a little heated there on the bridge.
A little bit. So,
You have any other thoughts on the
I
episode?
did not. So until next time, that's this time.
For Alpher, I'm Omegar.
Ayo!